Castillo, that it was the accused's special brand of cigarettes found at the scene of the crime that led you to suspect that he might be something other than a devoted, bereaved husband.
Objection, Your Honor. There's not a shred of evidence that my client has been anything other than a once devoted, now bereaved husband. Just because Mr. Capwell says it's true doesn't make it so.
Objection sustained. Counsel, let's not get off on the wrong footing with this witness.
Yes, Your Honor. Inspector Castillo, when you confronted the accused with this evidence, did he then admit that he had been in Santa Barbara and in that bungalow?
No, he continued to deny it.
Well, when did he finally change his story?
When I told him I had an eyewitness who claimed to have seen him in town the day before his wife died.
And this was only the first in a whole string of lies that he told you, was it not?
Objection, Your Honor. Counsel is characterizing testimony that's already elicited. He's also anticipating the witness's future remarks. We ask the court to admonish Mr. Capwell to refrain from any more of these leading, suggestive, and otherwise prejudicial remarks.
Mr. Capwell, you're out of order.
I'll withdraw the question, Your Honor. Inspector Castillo, did you have any further conversations with Mr. Laurent regarding his wife's death?
Yes, I did.
And during the course of these, did any other inconsistencies turn up?
Yes.
Would you tell us what they were?
Well, he stated at the beginning that he had no idea his wife wanted a divorce. Then he said that she had indeed told him she wanted one when he first came to town.
Go on.
Well, he told me then that he'd gone back east until he was notified of the crime. He claimed he'd been working at home with the phone off the hook and checking with his secretary periodically. Later, he admitted that he'd actually flown back to Santa Barbara and was in town the day Mrs. Laurent was attacked.
Anything else?
Yes, I found a pair of cufflinks in his suitcase. And since all of his shirts had buttons, I asked him if he was missing a shirt. He denied that. It was only later, after traces of his wife's blood and tissue were found on those cufflinks, that he decided to tell us where to find the shirt he had been wearing that day. It was exactly where he said it would be.
And what condition was the shirt in?
There was blood on it. It was the same type as Madeleine Laurent's.
Quiet.
Is this the shirt and cufflinks that you found?
Yes.
Your Honor, I would like to submit this as Exhibits 13 and 14, respectively. Inspector Castillo, did David Laurent tell you why there was blood on his shirt?
Well, he told me he'd found his wife lying on the floor, bleeding, that he tried to revive her, that he believed she was dead, and then he ran out.
Well, at least the part about running out can be substantiated. I will produce an eyewitness who will testify that he saw the accused fleeing the scene of the crime only moments after the medical examiner estimates that Madeleine suffered brain damage.
I object to the use of the word fleeing. The prosecutor is again coloring the evidence in advance of the jury hearing it. Also, the medical examiner only estimated the time of the attack. So for the counsel to say that my client left moments after is once again misleading and once again prejudicial.
Mr. Capwell, you're out of order.
I apologize, Your Honor. I'll refrain from discussing my eyewitness until after I've called them to the stand. One last question, Inspector Castillo. In your professional opinion, were David Laurent's actions those of a guilty man?
Oh, come on.
Objection.
Now, I've warned you, Mr. Capwell.
I'm sorry, Your Honor. It won't happen again. I have no further questions for this witness.
Your examination, Miss Wainwright.
Let's get back to the shirt that was found. Inspector, could you tell us again how Mr. Laurent described the events that led up to his hiding it?
He said he found his wife laying on the floor with blood all around her, that he tried to help her, but he couldn't. When he realized there was blood on his own shirt, he panicked, he said, afraid that someone would walk in, see him there, jump to the conclusion that he had killed his wife. He described to me how he ran out to his car and started driving, how he stopped at a breakwater and hid the shirt, put on a fresh one that was in his briefcase, I believe. And then he said he went to the airport.
I see. Did the police recover any evidence, or has there been any testimony that disproves any part of Mr. Laurent's description of what happened?
No.
No? Oh. So in other words, there's nothing that contradicts or makes his attempt of what happened impossible?
No.
Thank you. Inspector, could you tell us about the arrest that was made when Mrs. Laurent was found?
The capital chauffeur who drove her to the bungalow was discovered kneeling next to the body by the maid.
Was there any other evidence against him?
He'd had a couple of public run-ins with Mrs. Laurent.
Eventually, though, you released him.
Yes, there was not enough evidence to make the charge stick, and then, of course, the case against the accused began to gel.
But you did make a mistake in arresting him.
Well, I suppose you could call it a mistake.
It's nice to know that the police aren't afraid of admitting their mistakes. No further questions at this time. And thank you.
Any questions, Counselor?
Yes, Your Honor.
You may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. Inspector Castillo, did David Laurent ever once come forward of his own accord to tell you that he had been lying and that he wanted to tell the truth?
No.
And did he ever voluntarily change or correct any part of his story until he was forced to do so because he had been caught in a lie?
No, he did not.
That's all for now. Thank you, Inspector.